Everybody, and welcome to episode number 442 of the Stacey US podcast. I'm your host, Ben, and I'm joined by Chris. And as you can see, we are very, very happy, smiley boys right now. How you doing, Chris? You well?
Oh, great. Yeah, really good. Thanks. Actually had a bit of a stressful day yesterday, but today's been fantastic. Nice, easy day at work, relatively speaking, compared to yesterday, which I will share briefly. But in the last couple of hours, just watching the game back and doing the prep for this evening was an absolute joy to behold. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Again, similarly, we've had a. I think my evening was slightly less stressful than other members of the teams last night, shall we say? But I did have a downer, which we will come to shortly when I got to the ground. But yeah, overall, I'm very good. I've had a project go live at work that has been testing, but it's all good. It's all good. We're getting there. But yeah, let's look. I came to get all of the bits together for tonight's show, and I was like, right, it's only Sunday, like Sunday to Wednesday. There's not that much to talk about. Oh no, there's a lot. There's a very lot of things to talk about. So we might as well get straight into it. With quite possibly the most complete performance of the season last night at Sincil Bank against Bradford City. I mean, we'll rewind slightly because, as you mentioned, you had a bit of a stressful time to getting to the point where you could watch the game last night. So go on, Chris. Regale us with the tale of your awful day.
Well, I have a big thank you to you and your good lady wife, which helped. But it was my monthly meeting down in London. We do it every month, central team meeting in Stratford. Got there fine, no issues whatsoever, and I was on the 5:03 train back from King's Cross. Changeover at Peterborough, due to be in Lincoln at I think something like 7:09. All good. Wasn't able to get an earlier train than that was the earliest it could possibly be. Got on the train, all good. And then maybe 10-15 minutes into the journey, the train ground to a halt for a good 20 minutes or so due to a dodgy signal or something like that. I'm not quite sure what it was. I was in a foul mood at that point because I knew it meant that I was going to get to Peterborough after my connection had already left and I'd have to wait an hour until the next one. So I didn't get back to Lincoln until about just before 8:10. So ran to my work, which is on the way to the ground, dropped my bag off, and then literally absolutely pegged it to Sincil Bank. But thankfully did see the majority of the game because was able to watch on Now TV on my phone. Thank you to your wife's login. So I saw the first 15-20 minutes or so. It was obviously superb. The sort of 10 minutes or so I was running, I didn't see anything, and it was amazing to hear the atmosphere running up Sincil Bank towards the ground. Like you could hear the crowd from miles away. Well, not miles, but a long way away. Like the train station, you could hear the crowd, which was brilliant. Missed that sort of 10 minutes or so, and then got into the ground about 33 minutes or so into the game, and just in time, a few minutes later, to see the score the second goal. So particularly had an interest in that 15-20 minutes that I missed when watching back earlier. And it was, as you mentioned, just utter dominance. Like the whole game was in different ways, I think, in the first half and the second half. But that first half particularly was, the most dominant performance of us from the season. And we've had a few where we've been dominant, but it was faultless.
Yeah, absolutely. So running up to the game, Emily is in the chat and she's said, good evening, train troubles all round yesterday. Indeed, Emily's train got delayed or cancelled or something. So she had to get a train to Grantham and then get a member of parliament to pick her up, which was all good fun. I think Gary had vehicular issues as well. Stu, who does our social media, his battery died on his, or was dying on his phone going in, so there wouldn't have been that much Instagram stuff. I managed to get enough charge on a battery pack to lend to Stu for the evening as well. So hopefully we managed to get enough content out last night. And then I got to the ground and Curry Jacks weren't there.
Oh,
I'm going to have words because it just wasn't good enough. And honestly, when we got there and we're like, well, there's no Curry Jacks, what's going on? I just suddenly went from all the confidence in the world to, well, everything's going tits up. So is this just going to be a horrible evening? Because, and I feel like I should preface this with, normally we have our prediction videos that go out and you know exactly what's coming because you've seen the prediction videos. And everybody was a little bit cagey. I think you said a close 1-0. I think Gary said a 0-0. Emily said it was going to be a close 1-0. Charlie said 2-2. He said there's going to be goals in the game. And then I rocked up with my prediction of, well, I think we're due a statement win. Obviously, it's, Bradford are kind of one of the teams that are challenging us. And I said, statement win. We need a clean sheet. And I think I'm feeling oddly confident, so I'm going to say 3-0. And at the time, Emily replied with, "Ooh, that's a bold shout." Similarly to how I think we all replied to Charlie when he predicted that we beat Peterborough 4-2 earlier in the season.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, credit where it's due. Like, hats off.
Yeah,
there's nothing else to say other than a genuine, heartfelt, well done. And you had more faith than any of us did.
So I took some pelters at halftime, by the way, and shout out to Dave, to John, and to Pete, who I was chatting to at halftime, and they said, "We didn't see your video." I was like, "Yeah, I know, it didn't go out today due to work commitments," and it was just quite funny because they said, "Oh, what did you predict?" And obviously 2-0 up at halftime. I said it'd be 3-0, and they went, "Oh, bollocks! You said it was 1-0, didn't you?" I was just like, "No, genuinely." But anyway. So, but yeah, let's actually get into the game because, obviously coming off the Burton game, an unchanged lineup for the third game in a row for Lincoln. I don't think there was too many surprises on that front, was there? I think we're kind of sticking with, if it's not broke, we don't fix it. And although the performance against Burton on paper was probably a bit, it was a good performance, but it wasn't the kind of free-flowing, Lincoln City that we know we're capable of being because of the way that Burton made the game. But sticking with the same lineup, you think, right, okay, we know what we're doing at this point. I was delighted to see Freddie Draper keeping his starting spot in the number 9 role, and within 7 minutes, it showed exactly why he'd been kept there. We opened pretty quickly, pretty well, as we've tended to. And I was surprised that the foul that led to the free kick did not also lead to a yellow card. But, Freddie kind of, putting himself about as he does, got a boot to the face, and, free kick was given away. Free kick's then whipped in by Rico Hackett. Freddie gets his head on the end of it. Lovely guided header into the top corner. And everybody just thinks, okay, we can relax a little bit now, because starting well is what we've done a lot this season. Like we've been really good at doing that, and I think it paid benefits last night, didn't it?
Yeah, once again, brilliant start to the game. Just quickly on the lineup, but I think you're right. It's just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But also, honestly, we didn't have that much choice, because it was brilliant, by the way, to see Tom Bayliss and Ben House back on the bench and back in the squads, but they were never going to get a start after being out for so long. We've obviously signed Alfie Lloyd, but he'd be unlikely to start this early into his loan. There wasn't that many options, I wouldn't say, that would suggest that we wouldn't line up with what we did, but there was also no reason not to. And yeah, that front four particularly, I'd like to talk about them in a bit of depth tactically, but yeah, started the game well. And yeah, the free kick was interesting because I was watching on a grainy video, obviously, at that moment. And for me, it was just, oh, that's a free kick. Fine. Next. Didn't really see the in-depth analysis of it until the replay. Then it looked a little bit naughty. And the Sky commentator, I think he put it quite well. He said he has actually connected with Freddie Draper's head there, and it was really clumsy by Till. But it's not, I don't think it's malicious. It was just clumsy. And yeah, it was a high-ish boot, but also Freddie was stooping down. I think to give any more than a yellow in that moment would be really, really harsh on Till. But maybe it did deserve a yellow, though I don't think it would have made much of a difference. He had a pretty poor evening anyway. A yellow card would have only made it worse for him. But the big thing, of course, was brilliant ball in, great header. But it was interesting because that man Tilt again, on the free kick, he was clearly tasked with marking Freddie. See, he was set up to watch him, and then as Rico was running up to deliver the ball, both Rob Street and Sonny Bradley sprint in front of Tilt, so he has no way of getting near Draper, giving Draper the free header to attack the ball. So they just got themselves between him and Fred, and then that allowed Fred to have that free header, which he guided really well. So Fred deserves the plaudits for hitting the target, scoring the goal, great ball in from Rico. But once again, there was planning and preparation which allowed Fred to have that free header, and it made once again a great start for us to have something to build from an early part of the game.
Yeah, and Freddie mentioned his post match as well. You know, it's a free kick routine that they've worked on in training. It's kind of, I think he referred to it as an Arsenal style free kick from what he'd done. So yeah, it was. I say it settled any nerves that I think some people had, and actually, I have forgotten one very big thing that we really should mention. So I'm going to pause the game talk for just a second, but absolutely fair play and fair credit to the 617 lads for the phenomenal display that was put together. In tribute of the Bradford fire victims. I thought the way that the club handled that as well beforehand was superb. Getting John Helm to come out and present the wreath in front of the Stacey West stand was just absolutely. I know Gary and Emily kind of have a little joke around it, and it's class, that, but it was genuinely class from the club. Just absolutely fair play to everyone involved with that. I think it was great, and obviously they were fundraising for the Bradford Burns unit as well, which hopefully has raised a few quid.
Yeah, let's hope so. Once again, gutted to have not been in the ground to witness it at that moment, and of course the ceremony before the match, as you mentioned with John Helm, etc. There, but from this very small screen on my phone, it looked excellent. The display did. So yeah, credit to everyone involved.
100%. Right, so let's get back onto the football, because it was just sublime football. It was one-way traffic. As soon as, even before the goal went in, Bradford offered nothing for realistically the entirety of the night. But that first half, they did not have a single shot all the way through the half. Partly because I think there was an awful lot of stray balls that were just going straight into touch. But at any point, when we had the ability when they started to get through, we just snuffed it out really quickly. And they did not know how to handle any element of our game last night. I thought Freddie was absolutely unplayable. You say he was giving Tilt a bit of a rough time. I think it was in the second half at one point. They ended up tumbling over the touchline, and they had they squared up to each other a little bit. And you just think, Freddie's 22. Is he 21, 22?
21, I think, yeah.
I would not have had the balls to do that as a 21-year-old. And he's built. He's just getting so much stronger. And obviously he's had his discussion at the start of the season around, last year I maybe partied a bit too much, maybe was letting it go to my head a little bit, maybe not living the lifestyle that I should have been living. He's buckled down this season. I think there's definitely an element in his head of, well, I've seen my mate go for £1 million to another club and playing championship football. I think I need to knuckle down as well. And if that is the case, it's just done in the world of good, because he's been a revelation over the past couple of months, hasn't he?
Oh, he's been superb. I've been a Freddie fan for such a long time, but there's no doubt he's kicked on a level or two this season, particularly recently, in regards to goals, because that was probably the only criticism that you could have laid at him, because I think he's always been a handful. He's been really difficult to play against. He's been quite selfless in a lot of his work, because he doesn't always get the shots and the goal scoring opportunities himself, but he facilitates a lot of the play for us. So it's great to see him also having the notches in the goals tally now as well. He's scored 6 now. He's joint top goal scorer with Rico Hackett. So, you know, he's absolutely getting the plaudits for his work rate. And he's such a key component to how our current kind of front four are operating together. And I thought it was faultless last night. So just to talk through a couple of things I noticed, because I think both in and particularly out of possession, this is really key, and actually a really important part before we talk about the second goal, because it was a brilliant finish, but I think it's the phase of play that leads up to our attack, which is really interesting. But ultimately, our front four was, more than anything, worked really hard, as always. That is a given now, isn't it? But they're so narrow, so narrow. And clearly our game plan was to allow Curtis Tilt to have the ball, and then he has to pass it sideways. And then as soon as the ball goes either to their outside centre-back when they're really wide, or to their wing-back when they're deep, we press really aggressively. But by aggressively, I think it's important to see what happens on the other side of the pitch. So let's imagine Curtis Tilt has given the ball to their right wing-back, and our left-sided players are engaging the ball. Rico Hackett on the far side and Jack Mullen, who is playing in the 10, super narrow. So blocking the ball going back to the centre-back so they can't play out the other side, and relentless press inside. What that also allows them to do is we leave the outside centre-back on the other side of the pitch and the wing-back on the other side of the pitch completely unmarked. But it doesn't matter, because there's no way that they can feed the ball to those players. That gives us an extra player than Bradford do in certain parts of the pitch, and allows us to smother them. So what happens is they either kick the ball on under pressure because they don't have another option, which we're going to win that first contact more often than not, or we nick it off them in those high areas, of which Rob Street did loads. Jack Mullen did it a couple of times. And yeah, that front four was just relentless in that regard. And I know I'm a nerd, and I know I'm weird because I quite like watching it when we haven't got the ball. I know, well, shock horror. I like watching the game equally when we haven't got the ball than when we have. But it's such a joy to behold, to watch our out of possession setup, which is specifically designed to win it back in dangerous areas to get us on the front foot again. It's not just as a method to stop the opposition scoring. It's a method to get us into more goal scoring opportunities. And Pennington's booking in the first half was a prime example of that in action. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because you mentioned Fred, who was such a key component of that, particularly blocking it going back to Tilt across the other side of the defence. So we allow him to have the ball. Once he's passed it, Fred will then block the pass to Tilt. So they're forced down one side of the pitch, and it's work rate, but it's intelligent work rate, because if the angle of that run is wrong, then the whole thing breaks down. And then when we've got the ball, Fred's just the target, isn't he? And then you've got those three players around him, really narrow, to pick up those second balls. And over the course of the game, Rico Hackett and Jack Mullen picked up the second ball 6 times each. And there was no one in Bradford's team that picked up more than anywhere near that. And there wasn't a single Bradford forward player that won a second ball more than once.
Wow. I mean, it just goes to show I was starting to run out of superlatives at one point for just how dominant we were in that first half. I mean, as you mentioned, pressing off the ball was superb, which is what we expect from an Lincoln City side at this stage. Just real strength in every challenge that was going in. I mean, there were some. I think the second half particularly, there was a few really meaty challenges. There was one from Ivan, I think, that just made me go, what a challenge. It almost felt like that Bozzy against Peterborough moment.
There was a real thud to the challenge, wasn't there? And I love that noise.
Yeah. long as everybody gets back up at the end of it, it's yeah.
Of course.
But yeah, no, that was great, and just quick movement, passes to feet. It just looked superb, like across the whole of the game, and then the crowning moment in the first half came with Jack Moylan's goal, which it gets better every time I see it. Like in real time, you watch it. I mean, obviously you're in the ground for this point, aren't you? You managed to get in. I think. Yeah, we were a little bit worried in the group chat. We're like, we've not heard from Chris. Is he here? And then yeah, sure enough, like you'd made it in.
I was running.
But the initial chance looked like it had gone. I think it was Rico Hackett, wasn't it? Came in. The chance looked like it had gone. The ball ricocheted back up into the air, and Rob Street gets himself up, cushions the header down. And Gary mentioned it in his dog walk earlier, and I think in his match write-up too. I don't know if Rob Street's going to get quite the amount of credit that he deserves for that layoff, because it is superb. He gets up, he knows where Jack Moylan's going to be. He doesn't even have to look, and he just cushions it down. And Jack Moylan's there on the half volley. And from where we were sat, obviously we're in the co-op stand. I think me and you sit relatively close. I think I'm block 5, you're block 4, up at the top. And seeing in real time, you think, oh, that's a brilliant strike. But then when you watch it back on the highlights from the other side of the ground, it's an unbelievable hit. Like he's hit it so hard, so low, and there's movement on the ball, even though it is really low. It was just phenomenal. And yeah, sending us 2-0 up. And at that point, you just think, right, that's comfortable now. There's sometimes, and Gary talks about his, it sometimes puts a cheeky bet on to have the game play out in a draw. I would be extremely surprised if anybody was putting that on last night, because, like I said, going into half time, Bradford not even having a shot on target, or having a shot full stop in the first 45 minutes, and us being utterly dominant. I didn't think of anything other than, that is the best performance that we've seen in a 45 minutes this season. And yes, while it is a case that, the case that Bradford didn't really offer all that much, you can only play against what's in front of you. And the way that we did last night was excellent.
Yeah. There's probably two really big points to make, in addition to, obviously Jack Moylan's finish was utterly superb. But I'd like to talk about what led up to that opportunity first, which was a really good example of our out of possession play manufacturing a really threatening opportunity for us. Obviously, we took it, which is great, but it's a perfect example of it. And then, of course, just to touch on the first half as a whole, because I saw a really interesting comment in the in the Discord asking about the touches in the box for both teams, and I thought that's interesting, and I'll do a bit of digging. So there's a couple of points on that I'd like to share, but the whole phase of play that led to our second goal starts with Bradford in deep possession. Curtis Tilt playing central of the back three, had possession of the ball, and we weren't pressing him. The ball then goes to the right centre back. I think it was Pennington, and then Street applies some fast pressure. But once again, the angle of his approach stops it going back to Tilt out the other side of the pitch. So it gives Pennington only one option, which was into the wing back Ashby. Now, there's actually a nice kind of little bit of interplay between them. So a couple of one-touch passes look quite nice, but we've manufactured a 4v3 situation for us in that moment. So we have Moylan Street reach all around the ball, and also Sonny Bradley stepping ahead of the defensive line onto the attacking midfielder. I think it might be Wright, it might be Tommy Lee, actually, one of the two anyway. Now, it's really regular actually for our centre-backs to go with their man in those sort of situations and step ahead of the front line, which is something that Deji Elarewe is very good at, by the way, but that's another discussion point. But ultimately, on that side of the pitch, we've manufactured a 4v3 for us. Even though Bradford have got the ball, that just gives us a really good opportunity to win the ball back, because they haven't got a lot of room to play in. Jack Moylan does brilliantly to nick it, lays it off to Rob Street, who then just, of course, drives towards goal, lays it off to Rico Hackett, cuts inside, block shot. Yep, the shot kind of spoons up in the air. But in that moment that the ball is in the air, there are 6 Bradford defenders in the box, but none of them are set. 4 of them are facing their own goal because they've just sprinted back. Obviously, Rob Street wins the header and lays it off to Jack Morland, who's done brilliantly to get forward after winning it back in the first place. But also, we've got Adam Reach and Ivan Varfolomiev on the edge of the box without another Bradford player in sight. So even if Street doesn't win that, we've got that structure behind the ball just to keep the pressure on. And it was just tactically perfect example of what we do brilliantly. We set a pressing trap, we win it back really well, and we make it count by getting a shot off at the end of it. And of course, brilliant finish. Pandemonium in the stands. Didn't dare believe it's definitely over at that point, because there have been times this season where we've been up 2-0 and we've allowed oppositions to get back into it.
I think it felt different last night.
Yeah, you couldn't be more confident at halftime than we felt at halftime last night.
Yeah, 100%. It was fantastic. I mean, yeah, going in at halftime, so many people saying that is just it's the best 45 we've seen all season. And then coming out, sometimes I think it's probably fair to say we've maybe been a little bit susceptible to the opposition having a fast start coming out. But that didn't happen last night. I mean, Bradford maybe got back into it a little bit. Oh, you got your finger up, are you?
Oh, yes. I wanted to talk about our touches in the box. And
go on. Yes, sorry. Yes.
At half time, because I saw a comment in the Discord about this. So we mentioned how dominant we were. Of course, obviously, all the stats suggest that that's the case. They didn't have a shot. We had 12, 5 of them on target. But I think the real big discrepancy is we had 32 touches in the opposition box. We haven't hit 32. Not many teams hit 32 in a whole 90 minutes throughout the season, and we did it in just one half. But to counter that, Bradford had just a single touch of the ball in our box in the whole 45 minutes. Just to offer some context to that, when Man City beat Exeter to 10-1, in the first half, they had 21 touches in the box. Exeter actually had 5 in Man City's, and then it was 24-4 in the second half. So if we're using that as a metric, we were significantly better than Man City were against Exeter when they scored 10 goals. Actually, oddly, when we played Exeter, that was our most dominant.
I was going to say there was a game earlier in the season, wasn't there, where we absolutely went off the charts for that.
Yeah, we had 53 and 10. We had 31 and 5 in the second half against Exeter. It's probably our best second half performance of the season, despite actually losing the game 1-0, oddly. Bolton actually have had the most touches in the box out of any team in League One this season. And even in their best game, oddly, also against Exeter, it was 21-1. So it is, as far as I could see, the most dominant 45 minutes of football in League One this season, and even better in some measures than Man City when they beat Exeter 10-1, which I thought was fun.
Well, I'm suddenly disappointed that we didn't put 10 past them last night. But I mean, look, as I say, coming out after half time, it kind of felt like more of the same from Bradford with maybe a little bit more oomph behind them. They didn't really have any major threats, and we soaked up what they threw at us. But they did increase their shot count by 2 across the entire half. One of which shouldn't really count as a shot because it was in the 94th minute that he basically nodded out close to the 6-yard box, I think. But it felt like it was more of the same, but controlled, I think. We've spoken about the control that we've had in games before. We didn't need to turn on the afterburners. We didn't need to, completely wear ourselves down. We just needed to manage the game out and control it. And I think if there's anything that we've done very well this season, and I know we've spoken about, the numbers, the XG and everything, and we had the conversation around the Not Top 20 podcast where they said, there's a concern about Lincoln's XG and the underlying numbers there. I think having gone 2-0 up, you don't need to go hell for leather for that third goal when the opposition is as poor as it is. And I think I need people to take this in the right context, but we did sit back a little bit last night because we didn't need to go hell for leather on it. Yeah.
I oddly bumped into Mark Hone after the game last night and had a quick chat with him. And obviously we were full of superlatives for the team, but one thing that really jumped out to me, and it was nice that Mark agreed, was that we just had some real know-how. It was,
Mhm.
I felt like we managed the second half. We managed our lead, I would say, better than we have at any other point this season. Because
Yeah.
even in games where we have scored the other goal and we have won them, we've been pegged back a couple of times, or we sometimes invite more pressure than we like. And I think you mentioned the Not the Top 20s podcast's numbers. Now, I kind of did some digging and mentioned that, didn't I? But there was still a concern from the facts that when we're ahead, we do actually concede a reasonable amount of chances. But we didn't yesterday. I thought it was our most professional performance in regard to keeping hold of the lead. I actually think the second half performance was equally as good as the first, but just for different reasons in a different way.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's interesting because we didn't have as many touches of the ball in the second half. We didn't have as many chances, but Bradford had exactly the same number of accurate passes in our half in both halves. So we kept them at arm's length and we slowed the game down when we needed to. It was just super, super professional. And then, of course, last few minutes, icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Ben House coming back on as a substitute, I think the feeling started to spread through the ground of like, oh no, I think we're back now. Like we're back to hopefully a full strength squad. I mean, obviously a full strength side, we've basically been playing that with the players that have been out there, but like a full strength squad with the depth on the bench. Seeing Ben House come on just made me smile, and then seeing him score just made me dance a little bit because I was just a very happy man when that ball came in. And I've got to say, absolute credit to Tom Hamer for that cross. Takes the throw in, ball comes out to Adam Reach, who sort of fizzes it a little bit out to Tom Hamer, who hits it first time for that cross, lands bang on Ben House's head. Again, I think probably some questionable defending from Bradford to allow him to get his head on the end of it, but just a really, really neat finish. And yeah, sent everybody home incredibly happy. And then I think that is the icing, and then the cherry on the top of the icing is the fact that Tom Bayliss came on as well for a nice little cameo to say, "Hey, I'm back now. Ivan, can I have my place back?" No,
good battle,
I think is the answer.
Not yet. Yeah, probably not yet. But yeah, great moment. It was a nice cherry on the cake, as you mentioned. Delighted for Ben. Like before that, he'd done a couple of Ben House things, hadn't he?
Oh yeah, there was that one where he kind of went. He challenged the defender as the keeper came out and got the ball, took it past them, and nearly scored there. It was just, yeah, honestly, there are so many moments from last night that we could probably sit here and talk about for hours because it was just such a superb performance. But yeah, as you say, Ben House coming in and getting the goal felt quite special, I think, as well last night.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was a really good moment for him. Delighted for him. I love Ben House. I think he's such a unique player and suits us so well. Just suits our style, suits our system. But yeah, Tom Hamer long throw, headed away. Adam Reach first time pass out to Hamer. Lovely little cushioned ball out to him. And then, as you said, great ball in. Lovely whipped ball in. And then a simple-ish header, to be honest. Curtis Tilt, once again, losing his marker. Didn't have the best of games, bless him. And 3-0. Brilliant. So Tom Hamer has now got 5 assists this season, which is not bad for a centre-back, is it?
No.
And they're not all been directly off throw-ins, because even if we score off throws, it's not normally the first contact, is it? It's not normally him that gets that. He's just, that's worth mentioning. And just a couple of other things, because we've waxed lyrical about Freddie Draper, and deservedly so, in a game where everyone played well. It was interesting that the Stacey West team unanimously voted Fred as the man of the match. But I would like to offer a special mention to Rob Street, who won more duels than anyone on the pitch last night, 12, which is incredible. Only lost 7 actually, so it's not often a forward wins more than they lose. But he did. So he was excellent at winning it back. He was excellent. I think he had 3 tackles as well. It was him that nicked it back in those wide areas a couple of times. Obviously got his assist, but was such a vital cog in the wheel last night. And yeah, really, really good. And then just to finish it off, it was, I think it was our organisation and us winning the second ball back. So Adam Reach won it back 7 times, Hackett 6, Morden 6, Deriqua 5, Bradley Street, McGrandles, Ivan all 4 before you get to a Bradford player that's won a free open, won a loose ball anywhere near that, other than their goalkeeper, which I chose to omit to make it look better. but also it doesn't, it's different, isn't it? Open game. So I think it was out of possession, forcing mistakes, in possession, winning the second balls. And as like you say, that's a bit of balance. Bradford were poor, but for every inch they were poor, we were an inch and a half superb, I felt. And yeah, I don't want that to take anything away from us, because that sort of performance, that complete dominance for 90 minutes does not happen very often. So I think we can allow ourselves just to enjoy it. And it wasn't against, relegation fodder. It's against a team that was going into this game thinking that they're in a battle for the top 2. They're still in a battle for the playoffs, but I think that top 2 is probably out of their reach now. And it's just mad as it is to sound. That's one of those chasing pack that we can almost forget about now. And we've just got to keep doing our thing, haven't we?
Absolutely, we have. So we will take a little break there, because we are 36 minutes in. So we'll take a little break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up on Bradford, because there's been there's a couple of bits I want to say around it as well. But we'll do that, and then we'll come back and talk all of the other news, because there's a lot.
There is.
See you the other side of this. Cool. Right. Hello, folks. How are we doing? I'm always amazed. We put this. I try and put the studio live for about 6 o'clock, so we can see, get people in on the comments and stuff. And at 6:30, so half an hour before we went live, the comments were already scrollable. There were that many. Let's have a look. So Flossie is in. How we doing? Devon Imp is in. Says evening all from Plymouth. He did the washing up early tonight as well. There we go. John Davison's in. Says evening. Who else? The wife is watching from the sofa. I don't know why. She doesn't talk to me, and then she watches me talk to you. It's brilliant. Ollie's in, says, evening all, how are we doing, mate? You well. Saxabeam says, brilliant night last night, and a signing today, maybe just cover for central midfield to go. Probably have a little discussion about that in a little while. Ian is in, says, evening all, what a night at the bank last night. Is it time to start believing about automatics now, as we're 6 points clear of Bolton with a game in hand? I think
don't dare, though.
I think Stockport are the team to be watching for reasons that we'll also discuss a little bit later on. Steve Jolland says, evening, everyone. Are we starting to get a little excited as we close out January this weekend? I can't let myself get excited, but I am doing. Dom's in. It says, evening all. David Ward's in, says, evening, gents. So they're going to take it. They're going to be plenty of smiles tonight. Will Shrewsbury's interest in Lewis continue now Appleton's been sacked? We'll again, if we get a chance, we'll talk briefly about that.
I missed that. I didn't realise Appleton's been sacked.
We put it in our group chat, Chris. Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry, I must have been busy.
I even put the screenshot of that he got the corner flag treatment and everything.
Oh, sorry, mate. I completely missed that. That's stupid, isn't it? Doing it this close to the end of the transfer window. Anyway, we're not Shrewsbury fans. Who are we to judge?
Yes, we'll talk about that one. Richard says, last night's 617 display is still viral on Facebook and drawing a very favourable reaction from across the football community. Absolutely superb work last night from the 617 lads. MK Spokes says, hey, Westies. And Andy says, evening, Berris warming. I think that's probably the amalgamation of our names. I don't know if it works.
Oh, I see. I was very confused by that. I assume that was just a reference I wasn't aware of. Again, as happens a lot.
No. Jacob's in, as always, mate. Good to see you. Good evening, Ben and Chris. What a fantastic win last night. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Podcast Mum's in. Leslie's here. Evening, kids. Always good. Emily's in as well. I'm just trying to see. Sam White's in. Morning from New Zealand. Wow.
Good morning.
That's cracking. Good stuff. Paul's in. Good evening, gentlemen. What time to be an Imps fan? Absolutely is, mate. Absolutely. The Paulus is in, says, was legging it down Dixon Street when I heard the first goal go in thanks to work. So you were in good company, Chris. I think Sam White picks this up quite well. He says, we're all nervous because when have we ever had this consistency in the last few years?
Yeah, we've been on great runs before, but I don't know. It feels, I mean, I can't possibly imagine the run continuing quite at the level that it's at the moment. But I can't see us going on a bad run either.
Yeah.
So I think that's consistency is the key word. It's consistency in performance, I think, and identity. I think it's obviously a bit of a buzzword in football these days, but we do have that. We really do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just it's kind of it's exciting and scary in equal measure, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Keith says, even guys, what a performance by the lads. Can't see us letting this slip now. I predicted second spot when Chris did. That was the other week, I think, wasn't it? When we re-predicted.
Yeah.
And
when I was put on the spot.
You got a bit bold. So we're just getting better. And I don't think any of the teams below us are as consistent. It's a fair point. It is a fair point.
I don't like Bolton scoring loads of late goals, by the way.
No. David Zinn says, hi guys, Rob Street's work rate and his header was perfection. Tom Haymer is like throwing a bowling ball into the area. Yep. Age of Rum is in, says, I was stuck in Birmingham with work yesterday, but thoroughly enjoyed watching the game on Sky Sports Plus alongside a Reading fan. Paulie scored on the 91st minute, but Exeter equalised later on. Yeah, that's mental in and of itself. Right, and I think that's probably everybody that is in at this point. Walters as well says, dare we to dream? Stu is in as well, so even fellas, sorry I'm late, I've been doing research. We know what kind of research that is, Chris, because Stu, because we've seen it in the group chat. Although Chris probably hasn't seen it in the group chat because he missed the big news. And a quick one from Dave as well. Always good to see Dave. How you doing, mate? It says, one of the best nights at the bank under the lights. I still have no voice. P.S. The ref was shit.
I don't think the ref, personally, I don't think the ref had a negative impact on the game.
He was okay. I think there was probably one moment, which was in the second half, which was Adam Reach's yellow card, that I think he got very wrong. I think Ricci took the ball quite cleanly there, but there we go. Joe says, what a fantastic game. Blake says, hi, what a great evening yesterday. And I think Roy says 18 matches and 54 points still up for grabs. Absolutely. And that is it for everybody that's in. That is phenomenal. I love doing this live. It's brilliant. We get so many people now, and it's just a nice little community. It's really lovely. If you do want to get involved on a more frequent basis, by the way, get on the Patreon and get in the Stacey West Discord, because we've got a really lovely community in the Discord and everybody gets on well. And, you know, we've even got a little prediction league, which I managed to bump myself up a few spaces on this week. But there we go. And we will come back in. If you're ready, Chris.
Ready.
In 3, 2, 1. And that was an advert for something or other. And we've had a lovely chat with everybody that's watching live. And you should watch live too, because it's great fun. And get involved on Patreon and everything else. Because, we've just got a good community. And I don't think there's been a better time recently to be a Lincoln City fan. It's brilliant. Like I'm feeling full of confidence at the moment going into every game. But, just to wrap up on Bradford, I think the one thing that I found a little bit surprising yesterday, and I know Gary mentioned it as well, just how quickly they turned. Like their fans were turning. I mean, obviously, it's not nice to go away and see your team offer nothing. But I think singing Andy Cook's name was a bold choice. Yeah. And in fairness, I think they've probably come out with the funniest chant I've heard all season, which is "do do do signer in striker," which that did make me chuckle.
Yeah, that did make me giggle as well. Obviously, we've all got a soft spot for Bradford. Our two clubs will be forever linked and have that mutual respect for each other. But objectively, I felt maybe it felt strange for them to turn on their own team quite so quickly. It was in the first half they were booing them, which was strange. I know we've been reminiscing how outstanding we were in the first half. And yeah, for every little part we were good, they weren't. But yeah, a bit harsh. A couple of things. I think possibly, and I don't think this is the only factor because we are good, but those extra couple of days probably helped, didn't they? We played Thursday night, because I felt from a physical perspective we just ran over them for 90 minutes, and so we'll absolutely take the plaudits. We'll celebrate when things go well, but maybe we had a couple of things in our favour in that regard. Bradford's obviously injury record recently hasn't been helpful. Had to change their backline quite a few times. Clearly need a centre forward, but hey, we were good. Let's enjoy it.
Absolutely. So right, Bradford in the books. Everybody's happy that was in red and white last night. I want to talk about it forever, Chris, because it was really, really good. It was really good. But we do have other news to talk about. Obviously, Gary and Emily mentioned on Sunday. Yes, Sunday. I don't know what day is what at this point. That Gary had interviewed Ron Fowler. That interview went out on Monday alongside another one from Radio Lincolnshire. Both very good stuff if you can get yourself over to, I think it's BBC Sounds or, our podcast feed to have a listen to those. And Clive's open letter as well, which I think probably got a lump in a few people's throats reading through it. But I mean, just quickly, we'll touch on everything on there. First off, the interview with Ron, I think, was quite eye-opening. And I know Gary mentioned it on Sunday's pod as well. We had the pleasure of briefly meeting Ron over the weekend alongside Gary as well. We obviously didn't have the time to interview him and everything else, but yeah, just to kind of say hello and everything. Seems like this is almost the perfect fit, doesn't it, for us? And I think the biggest question, we've mentioned it on the pod when it was announced. I think the thing for me is, do we want to change how we do things as a football club? Are we going to have somebody come in and go, here you go, it's £5 million going by a striker? Or are we going to continue to do what we've been doing, but have a more stable base to continue to do that? And it feels like it's the latter, which cements it as the Lincoln City way, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's weird because we're talking about something that's happened, but it felt like it happened a couple of weeks ago because we knew it was going to. And we mentioned this, I think it was you and me, the day that got announced, and we discussed it briefly in that I don't think we're going to suddenly become financially irresponsible overnight. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That step-by-step approach, as we've been doing, is working pretty well. So why would you step away from it? So that was my gut instinct, particularly because Ron had been part of the club for nearly 2 years already. But it was really nice just to hear it from the horse's mouth, wasn't it? And if there was any doubts in the back of your mind, any concerns that the identity that we've had would start to step away from that a little bit, that's just been completely quashed. There's clearly no need to be concerned whatsoever. It sounds like there might just be a little bit more stability, or a bit more of a comfort blanket maybe for the on-pitch stuff. But the big thing for me is he clearly is interested in improving the facilities for match days. So I'd like to see it going in infrastructure. It helps everyone. So yeah, maybe one or two bits on the pitch, but it's like I liked that the majority of it was keep doing what we're doing, and we'll polish a few things.
Yeah, you put the foundations in and then you build on top of it, don't you? It just seems to be the right way of doing it. And Richard says it well in the chat. I love Ron's attitude: set the goals and let those hides do the job. Get on with it. I think that's exactly it. Everything that was in those interviews suggests to me that it's kind of Clive knows football, and Clive is still here. Clive has been leading the charge on that front, and he's done a great job. But I know business, and I know how to make our own money. So I want to do that, and that's going to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not just Clive, and Clive's obviously been the figurehead and been
Oh,
brilliant. But
100%. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's the people running the club on a day-to-day
Yes.
basis in each department. It's and obviously there's lots of people, but the big three that we probably hear the most from are Liam Scully, Jez George, and Michael Skubala. In each of their departments, we're doing really well. So let them keep doing it, but with some guidance, with some support, but more than anything, I think with some trust. And that's clearly what he was saying. It's unlikely we're going to hear too much from Ron as a public facing chairman, but he's going to allow the people that are qualified to do the job. So yeah, it was nice to have any. I wouldn't say there was ever a concern, but it was just, like I said earlier, nice to hear it all from the horse's mouth, really. And
Yeah,
it feels like we're in good hands, particularly with Clive staying on as still going to be a major part of the club. It sounds like, which probably leads quite nicely onto his letter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's quite a lengthy open letter to fans. But if you have yet to read it, I would encourage you to do so. It just starts with, I'm delighted to hand the chairmanship of this special club to Ron, who has a proven track record of business acumen and delivering sporting success, which he will now bring to bear for the Imps. This change helps secure the long-term future of the club for many years to come. It's been an honour to serve as chairman, and I will remain involved as co-vice chairman alongside Jay Wright. He goes on to sort of mention the moments, the FA Cup run, the promotion, and everything else. I think that the telling thing for me is that the biggest paragraph, and this again continues to highlight Clive's character more than anything else. The biggest paragraph in the open letter is, "These are the people I want to thank." Like it's just full of, these people are people who have helped us get to where we are. And yeah, it was nice for him to name check Danny and Nicky during that, because I think it's an obvious point to make, but that they kind of helped alongside Clive kickstart where we are now. But yeah, I just think the absolute just every little bit of that letter just shows Clive's character, and how he's done for us and what he's done for us. I think it's going to be sad to not have Clive's name above the door, but obviously he's still going to be heavily involved with the club. And with Ron coming in, having had a brief chance to chat to him, I think I get the same feeling that I got with Harvey, in that, either when Harvey came in, we spent quite a long time with him. I think me and Gaz spent quite a bit of time with him doing the interview, and then we spent a bit of time with him afterwards as well. And I got the feeling that either this man is genuinely interested and genuinely invested in the football club and the football culture, or he is an exceptional liar. And he has continued to be an exceptional liar for the past few years. And I get the same feeling about Ron. I think there is just a genuine want and a genuine fascination with football culture and wanting to be involved in a football club. And we are thankfully the club that they've chosen.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to say something eloquent, but I don't think I can add anything to what you've just said, other than, yeah, I agree with everything you've just said. And let's build Clive Nates a statue, shall we?
Yeah, I did say as soon as it came out, I was like, yeah, where do you want your statue, Mr. Nates? That's it. That's fine. Like, yeah. But I did have a message from Clive as well, and he just said, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll still see, he said, his first words to me were like, you and Rachel will still see me at plenty of games going forward. I thought, perfect.
Well, good. Rachel needs to get some drinks bought for her, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Because I'm sure I've told the story on the pod, but Rach had a pint and Clive knocked her pint over. So every time, because he went to give her a hug and knocked the pint over, every time we see each other now, he goes, right, just check in. Any pints around? No, and then goes in for the hug. It's always good fun. Right. Other news. There was some big news on Monday. Adam Reach has signed a new deal. Well, signed an extension to his deal, Chris. Fantastic news, obviously. I think we kind of knew it was coming, given the comments that were around James Collins' contract extension. We knew that this was coming. It was just a matter of when. it looked from the press release that the club actually triggered it ahead of time to kind of get it done and dusted. But I mean, just brilliant. Like Ricci's been phenomenal, and this ensures that his services for at least another year by the sounds of it.
Yeah, just good news all around, and he can go in the same category as the other experienced players of whose contracts have been recently extended, and it just allows everyone to focus on the football without that worry about having a job next year or not, doesn't it? And that can only be a positive. He was just the one that hadn't signed yet, the one that hadn't been extended. And yeah, as you said, reading between the lines, it would appear that there was a mechanism in his contract that if he played enough games, he was going to get an automatic 1-year extension. It was almost certain that he was going to hit that by the end of the season anyway. So we've just decided to bring that forward, extend it by a year, let everyone know where they stand for the next year, let Adam have that security so he can focus completely on his football for the rest of the season. Just good news. Here's another one of those senior players who've been so influential for us so far this season. And more than anything, it just gives us that focus for this season, plus the security of next season too. Just good news all round.
Indeed. And I believe that now has the entirety of the first team squad, with maybe the exception of Lewis Montsma. Because I can't remember what Lewis's contract is, if it is until the end of next season or if it's the end of this season.
Yeah. So I know when I put this in, when I entered it for the Football Manager database, like it's in for next season. There must be a reason I've done that, but I am prone to a mistake, as we all are. The only other thing we haven't heard of actually is Dom Jeffries, because when we signed him, it was a 2-year deal with an option to extend it by an additional 2 years. A bit of a strange one, and we haven't heard about Dom yet. So,
well, my understanding is that all senior players at the club, so that might well include Lewis actually, there is nobody that is going to be out of contract this summer.
Cool. So everybody is here. That's already been sorted and triggered.
Everybody is, everybody will be under contract. Yeah, everybody is under contract until at least the summer of 2027, which I think, in addition to that just being good news, I think it gives everybody that security and going, right, I know I'm under contract until at least next summer. Sod it, let's go and try and win promotion. They've not got that just little switch in the back of the mind that they're thinking about. So
much easier for succession planning as well. Like this time last season, we were having, obviously maybe not in the best run this time last season, but we had a good start to the season. We still weren't out of the playoff chase, but there was always going to be that little doubt in the back of our minds. Well, we're definitely going to lose Ethan Arahan, probably. Sean Rowan's out of contract. Paulie's out of contract.
Yep.
So we knew that at the time what we felt were our key players, there was that uncertainty. And it has been every season, really, for in living memory. This is probably the first season for a long time where every player is contracted for the next season, certainly, but also, most importantly, the key players that we absolutely want to be part of the club are guaranteed to be here next year. Yeah. So if we do lose anyone, it's going to be for a fee, and that hasn't happened for a long time. I can't remember that ever happening.
100%. So the actual wording on Lewis's contract signing was Lewis Montsma has signed a phased multi-year contract extension, which could keep him at the club until the summer of 2027.
Right. Yeah. So maybe it is this year with the option to extend it till next then. But that is pure speculation.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right. But something that was pure speculation a little bit earlier on in the week and now has been confirmed. We've got a striker, and we've got a striker from the Championship, and he looks pretty good. So Lincoln City have confirmed the loan signing of Ryan One from Sheffield United on loan until the end of the season. Chris, 19 years old, looks like he's got some pace, looks like he's got some power. That seems like it might tickle certain things in Jez's brain. You've been having a look at him. What's he look like?
Yeah, well, I've been looking at him for a while, actually. So this is one of the. There's a lot of players that you can think, oh, they'd be good, and they never get anywhere near the club, or at least they don't get signed, and you don't see the fruition of that. But we all like to look, don't we? We all like to think, oh, who might we look to bring in? I was actually chatting to Gaz about this last night, because completely separately, both of us identified him as a player that we maybe would go after, or at least would fit our profile. So it's very nice when one of those things happens, because it doesn't happen that often. And And in terms of fitting the profile, it's exactly what you said. It's works hard, big, strong, physical, aggressive. Not only can he run, he clearly wants to run as well. He's just exactly everything that we associate with our forward players now. Now, you mentioned striker. Now, I actually, and I'm happy to be proven wrong here, of course, I don't actually expect him to feature very often as a number 9 for us. I can see him playing in one of those wider positions, in more the Rob Street style role, because Rob Street last night, for example, was playing left wing, but was almost never actually on the left touchline. His job's to press the defender on that side of the pitch. But aside from that, when we're attacking, he is getting really close to Freddie. His job is to get in behind centrally and get on the end of things and score goals or facilitate them. I can see Ryan Onay, if that's how we're pronouncing it. I haven't actually looked into how to pronounce it. Because it's the little dash above the E that makes it very confusing, isn't it?
I think it's Onay.
Cool, we'll go with that. I'll take your word for that.
You've got Elawere, right? So you do that one, I'll do Onay. There we go.
Cool, deal. I think he's got a lot of similar attributes to Rob Street, actually, but he's left-footed, which gives us some flexibility in that regard. Will allow, if he's getting in behind on that left side, a first-time shot with his stronger foot rather than maybe having to cut inside, which both Street and Hackett do. In some games, that could be useful to hit the early one. It maybe gives us another left-footed option to play on the right if Rico does pick up an injury, or we want to have more natural width on the left side in one game. So, I think this probably rounds out our front options. The general profile fits the mould of the club, but he does offer something a little bit different to everyone else by being that more direct kind of runner that's going to break lines and has that left foot. Because Rico is great, but doesn't have that in behind tendency. He's much more to drift inside and get on the ball and make things happen kind of with the ball at his feet rather than running in behind. Whereas Street tends to get in behind a lot more often. So for me, it's like a left-footed Rob Street in terms of how similar is he in our current squad. But I think that certainly rounds out our attacking options for the second half of the season. I don't know if I can see us bringing anyone else in at all, to be honest. I think that maybe we're done. Maybe.
Well, I feel that we're done. I don't think we need anything. And I think we spoke about this last week in terms of needing and wanting and being greedy. But I don't think we need anything else. I think somebody mentioned earlier on, are we possibly looking at maybe central midfield cover, but I don't think we need that necessarily with Bayliss coming back. We've got 3, possibly 4 players that can fill those 2 slots with, obviously Magrandos, Ivan, Tom Bayliss, and Dom Jeffries can play there if need be as well. And I think we've seen before Tom Hamer could possibly move up if there is the option, but it wouldn't be a first choice.
Yeah, I think of the defenders that would do it. It might be Riley Towler, because at the start of the season, there was a few times he stepped into that defensive midfielder role in possession, even when he was playing left back. I think Dom Jeffries is the 4th player in that role, though.
Yeah,
I think that is his long-term position, and as much as when he's come on and played recently, he's come on in an attacking position, namely normally wide left, but partly that's, I think, game management. I also think it's a safer area of the pitch to bring a player that's still returning from injury back than throwing him right in the centre mid. And he has played minutes in centre mid, but I can see particularly bringing Onay in, and also Alfie Lloyd, of course, and Ben House now being fit in that attacking area of the pitch, I don't see Dom Jeffries being utilised in that front line at all. I can see him being perfectly suitable for being part of a squad in the 2 behind that front line.
Yep, no, 100%. Right. So we have gone over, which we can kind of understand because it's
We haven't talked about Wigan yet.
I know, and I was going to say we've got Wigan to preview. So let's rattle through Wigan because there's some interesting stuff there, including one thing which I was going through the numbers and I thought that is quite interesting. And I teased Chris with it, and he said that's genuinely exciting. I was like, see, normally if I was podding with Gaz and I said I've got a surprising stat, you'd be like, oh, that's exciting, and that would be the exact tone of voice because it would just be a level of sarcasm that only few would understand. But Yeah, come on, Chris. Wigan. What are you expecting from them at the weekend?
Well,
Well, actually, bear in mind, there are heavy rumours doing the rounds at
beat
the
me
moment.
to it.
Yeah, that it might be there might be a different vibe around the place because it might be that they're on a manager bounce.
Yeah, I hope it's not the case. I don't ever like to see a manager lose their job, particularly this weekend, because I think it suits us to play Ryan Lowe's Wigan Athletic than maybe a manager who is temporary at that point, and the potential of just that different feel around the place. Because Wigan, of course, have just started to slip down the table, which is surprising after I still maintain they were one of the better teams that have come to Central Bank this season. I actually think we were probably quite fortunate to get a point out of that game in the end.
100%.
But clearly, we're a much better team now than we were then. It would appear they're a worse team than they were then. Now, in the last 8 games, only Rotherham and Port Vale have picked up fewer points than Wigan. So they've only picked up 5 points from 8 games, winless in 5. So that's a good sign. Of course, we know we're the form team in the league, so that won't be a surprise to anybody. But I think it's also notable that they've had quite a tough run. You know, in that 8 game stretch, they've played Bolton, Cardiff, they've played Bradford. We know Burton are a decent team. They actually beat them. They played Stevenage in there, and they lost 2-0 last night as well. And on my notes, stupidly, I wrote down that they were away at Wigan. So I can't who they played again. Who did they play last night? I can't remember. But who have they lost 2-0 away at?
They lost 2-0 away at Wycombe.
There we go, Wycombe. Thank you. What an idiot. I mean, they sound similar. Anyway, so in terms of just results, obviously not brilliant, and they've kind of been good value for the results they've picked up, if that makes sense. Like, there's not been many surprises there. They haven't been particularly unlucky. They were 3-0 down against Doncaster, and yes, did bring it back to 3-3, but they got battered. 3.65 XG against in that game, which was really weird. But they're a bit of a different beast at home compared to away. There's just not many goals in their games at home. They've only actually conceded 9 goals at home all season, which is only 2 teams have conceded fewer at home. But they've only actually scored 12, and only 2 teams have scored fewer at home. So goal scoring is clearly a challenge for them, but they seem to be reasonably solid at home at the back. So they're kind of the generalized things. But in terms of system and style, this is where it gets really interesting for me, because I honestly think we can press the life out of these, which suits us, doesn't it? As we've just described. They, in almost every one of their games, particularly their most recent ones, they've played a back 3. How they've organised ahead of that, sometimes 3-5-2, sometimes 4-2-3-1, but they've been a back 3. And I love pressing against a back, or always pressing against a back 3 with how we do it with our front 4. As we described earlier against Bradford, when it goes wide on one side, you can leave 2 opposition players unmarked in the knowledge that they're not going to receive the ball. When you're playing a back 4, you can only do that for the fullback. So it gives us an extra player to press with and will give us a +1 elsewhere. So the fact that Wigan play just under 60% of their total passes are in their own half. They only have 44% of possession, so they've got the fourth fewest, lowest possession in the league. So they're not highly possession, but
according to FotMob, they are they're the team in the division with the second lowest average possession.
There you go. So
do you know who the team with the lowest average possession is?
Yeah, us.
It's us.
Yeah.
That makes me chuckle.
It's where you have that possession.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting. So about 60% of their possession is in their own half, and for us, we actually have about 50% in the opposition half. So, that's good ultimately. So we don't have a lot of the ball, but the ball that we do have is more so in the opposition half than it is for them. And that indicates one or two things really, because I looked at something called action zones, which shows of all the time played in League One this season, what percentage of time is spent with the ball in each team's own third, the middle third, or the attacking third of the pitch. Now, the ball is in Wigan's third of the pitch for the third highest amount of time compared to any team in the league. And then you can read two things into that. Number one, either the opposition's battering them and they're just kind of camped outside Wigan's box, which suits any team, doesn't it? Or they have a lot of their own possession in their own third. And it appears that the latter is the case, with all those kind of other bits adding up, which just means that they're ripe for pressing. They don't create a huge amount of chances. They actually should have scored more goals than they have in terms of the chances they've created. But in terms of chance creation, they're really down. They are 21st for touches in the box. They're the most passive team out of possession as well. So their PPDA is the highest in League One, which means that they basically allow the opposition to have so much more of the ball than anyone else does before they make it a defensive action. However, they're pretty good at defending set pieces. They've actually conceded fewer from set pieces than we have. So maybe that set piece dynamic isn't necessarily going to be as big a strength against Wigan as maybe it is against other teams. I think it's actually our in-play tactics. I think we can pin them into their own box or their own third, stop them playing out, similar to how we did against Bradford, though they're less likely to be as direct as Bradford were. I think we can smother them. I think we can get on top of them. Reasonably confident. But the huge caveat is if Ryan Lowe stays.
Yeah. It feels like this is kind of, we're getting to that stage where we've spoken about our, false positions and all the rest of it. But this feels like one of those where you look at the league positions and think that kind of makes sense. We should probably take something here.
Yeah, they're decent at home. I think, like, I was looking at the we know we start games so quickly, don't we? Our goal difference in the first half of the games is plus 15. Wigan's is -6. But actually, when you look at their at home, they're plus 5. So they're much better starting games. Certainly much better at not conceding early when they're at home. So if we can score early again, I think we're going to be ripe for a strong performance again. But it's probably going to be difficult to break them down so early on recent home performances for them.
Do you want to know the interesting thing? Oh, go on.
I was just going. Well, one last bit really is, of course, they've signed Joe Taylor.
Yes. So that's a goal, isn't it?
Maybe so. Now, there's a couple of things here. The goal scoring is clearly a challenge for them. So adding Joe Taylor in the side is probably going to help that in some way, shape, or form. You've got good pacing behind us, a bit of a fox in the box. We know all about Joe Taylor, of course. He can only help. But if they are likely to want to play out from the back, they're not high possession, but they do play out. And we're going to force them long, like we did against Bradford. We forced them to go long because they didn't have any ways of playing out against us. I don't feel the striking department that Wigan have will cause our centre-backs too much of a challenge in regards to those aerial duels. They haven't got a Freddie Draper sort of striker up top that's going to get him up the pitch. They want to get him behind. So yeah, I think if we get caught in behind and obviously Joe Taylor's pace could be dangerous, that would be a challenge for us. But yeah, I don't like being so positive, Ben, but I can see us winning again.
Yeah,
I can see us not losing, and that would be good away from home.
Yeah. Do you want to know the weird little
yes, please.
Anomaly? So Wigan Athletic are currently top of the table in League One for red cards.
Oh,
they have got 6 red cards so far this season.
That's a lot.
But they're bottom of the table for yellow cards.
That is cool. Oh.
So it feels like, discipline-wise, they're either perfectly fine or they completely lose their heads.
Yes, it does. I wonder which it'll be on Saturday.
I just thought that was a really weird, interesting little dynamic there. I just thought,
that is. I didn't know that. That's fun. That's fun. But cool. I suppose after all that waffle from me, in summary, stylistically, it suits us again. Back three suitors, particularly when they try and play out. It'll allow us to press. Set pieces might not be as dominant as they maybe have been from an attacking perspective, but I think we've probably got enough to get past them with the information that's out there, providing that Ryan Lowe is still in charge. If he's not, it could change significantly, and we don't really know what we're coming up against.
There we go. Right, well, we will have a preview up tomorrow night. That is Thursday night for those of you that are listening. For those of you watching live, it will be tomorrow night. Charlie's getting that done tomorrow. I imagine that the context of that will probably change if Ryan Lowe disappears this evening, but we'll certainly see on that one. Speaking of managers disappearing, we will very, very, very briefly mention the surprise news that Chris was not aware of during the break. Michael Appleton has gone from Shrewsbury, and one name that is currently in the frame to replace him, according to Pete O'Rourke, is Graham Coughlin.
Oh.
So he's just left Boston after essentially pushing himself out of the job for being quite angry during his post-match interviews to go to a job at Shrewsbury. That seems strange if that one happens, but
it does seem strange.
Yeah, I also wonder if that possibly explains Michael Scubala's somewhat cagey answer to the Lewis Montsma question yesterday.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, we will see about that. But I think it's probably fair to not keep people for too much longer, because we have spoken for nearly an hour and a quarter about football. We've wrapped up the Bradford game. I wish I could talk about that for another hour, but we won't.
You can. It's fine.
Well, we'll stop the recording and then we'll talk off air for an hour about that.
Before you do your outro, and if you were going to say this, I apologise for butting in, but I just wanted to mention it in case you weren't going to say it, is that just a reminder to everyone that there won't be a podcast on Sunday, because there will be a deadline day special on Monday instead.
I had completely forgotten about that.
Good. Yeah. So we'll be on, well, I say we, mainly you, Charlie, and Emily will be live from 4:30, I believe.
We're live at 4:30 on Monday.
Yeah, myself and Gary are away in Germany this weekend, actually, on a football trip, watching 3 matches, which I'm incredibly excited about. But does mean, of course, going to miss the Wigan game, so it wouldn't be a very informed opinion if we were talking about it. So you'll be in very capable hands, and then if we get back in time, we'll hope to join the live stream later on. But yeah, just you can enjoy your Sunday, everybody, without having to worry about logging in. But we will absolutely be looking after you on deadline day on Monday. Also a reminder that the window slams shut, or as it feels for us this season, once again, just gently comes to a close at 7:00 on Monday, not the usual 11 p.m.
Yeah, we have some good things planned. We have some things already recorded, and we've got some other things up our sleeves for Monday. So be involved. It will be good fun. But as is apparently now the way, we will get everybody that is currently listening to join in out loud and vocally through your headphones. Shout it loud and shout it proud. Chris, are we ready? Up the imps.
Up the imps.